Hello everyone and welcome back to another video from everyone's favorite Halo YouTuber. I'm Rehab, your favorite Halo YouTuber, and today I'm going to give you 5 grenade tips to help you improve in Halo Infinite multiplayer. I've seen a lot of comments about a grenade tip video, basically that there's not too many tip videos out there, and a lot of people are looking to be more efficient with their grenade usage. So I'm going to hop into some training mode, talk over some things that I've learned over the years, and give you some grenade tips. Alright guys, we're hopping into training mode on Aquarius, and the first tip I want to give you is a little bit of an oxymoron. It is, don't waste your grenades. You know, they're a very valuable asset. They're a very important tool in getting kills in Halo Infinite, but you also don't want to die with your nades. So, you know, it's a little oxymoron where you don't want to waste them. You don't want to just come off spawn and start throwing nades across map because, I don't know, maybe you'll get a kill. Maybe your teammate's in a fight and you just pray you don't kill your teammate and you kill the other one. But yeah, grenades do a lot of damage in this game. Other than the times that you literally put the grenade into the rectum of the other Spartan and they take no damage whatsoever for whatever reason. Thanks for the desync. 343. But seriously, the grenades really are very powerful in this game, and you can do a lot of damage with them. So you want to make sure that you're not wasting them, but you don't want to use them so scarcely that you actually die with them. Because if you die without using your nades, that's potentially 2 entire shields you could be taking off. So that's my first tip. Just make sure you're using them, but don't be spawning up like, oh, I know that guy's there. Where are you at? Just kind of wasting them. Like, be calculated with your grenade usage. Alright, so the second tip I want to give you is that you need to really understand how the grenades work, right? The way that the grenades work is basically they have to hit something and then there's a countdown. I believe it's 2 seconds, but you know, I don't have a stopwatch on me right now. As soon as it comes in contact with anything, there's a countdown that starts and then it's going to explode. And that's really useful because you don't need a player to be down low and standing on your nade. You can bounce the grenade at someone, and that's going to make it explode a lot quicker right up in the face of someone maybe, and it's going to catch them by surprise. Instead of me trying to throw this nade and have it kind of land at his feet, where it might bounce past him, I can throw it in front of him, let it bounce, and then it's going to explode by the time it gets to him. So if you can get that distance drawn out right, kind of in your head as you're kind of predicting it, you get a feel for it after a while, kind of how far ahead of the player you want it to be. See, that was a bad nade. It bounced past him a little. That one bounced past him. So there's a certain way you want to do it. There's a certain way you want to place the nades where it's bouncing and landing kind of in their face, or in the closest proximity to them as you possibly could. And utilizing this can help you in a lot of situations where you aren't in the best position. For example, it has to hit anything for the timer to start, so it can hit the ceiling. For example, when there's players in the bases, you can very easily bounce nades off the ceiling and have them land down at their feet. When the grenade hits the ceiling, it starts that countdown timer, and the grenade kind of just accelerates to the floor as it hits the ceiling. You don't have much time to avoid that. If someone's under you nading up, and you just hear that tick, like, you can't really get too far away from it. So you want to always be looking around for flat surfaces to bounce nades off of, basically. Whether you're in a bad position low, bouncing it off the ceiling, bouncing it off a certain, you know, side. See how that's kind of angled at a slant towards me? That's not going to bounce off and bounce back this way. If you know someone's fridge pushing out towards front to base, you want to bounce it off there, you know, and it's going to land kind of right where you want it to be. So play around in the sandbox, get to learn the way that nades bounce, and just figure out how the way the nades are going to bounce. If someone's coming in that doorway, you know, you don't want to try and... Wow, that kind of worked out really well. You wouldn't want to try and get the nade to land at their feet. You bounce it off the wall, make sure it lands as quickly and explodes as quickly as possible. If you know someone's pushing through that doorway, maybe you'd want to bounce here, but see, it's on a slope, so that's a bad angle. It kind of shoots the nade away from where you want it to go since it's on that angle. So, you know, you might want to take 2 steps forward, make sure you're bouncing it off the wall and landing at the feet. If someone's pushing through that doorway, if you have an idea as to how far away they are, maybe you saw them pushing and you're like, oh my god, they're about to be in here, you'd want to push that nade at your foot. If you see them coming, but they're a decent way out and they're going to be in this hallway, then you might want to bounce it like that. So you just kind of get a feel for where the players are, how far away they are, where exactly you want that nade to bounce to try and make it blow up right in their face as best as possible. Also, the grenades collide with players, so I get really frustrated at times when someone might throw a nade at you and it looks like, you know, the nade's going to bounce past you, but maybe it hits you in the big toe. You didn't cut your toenails that day, gets caught up in you, and the nade just kind of hits you and stays at your feet. If you're up here, instead of trying to get a nade to bounce on that platform, you can bounce it off that back wall. All things that are pretty obvious when you take a step back and kind of look at things, but you just don't tend to really think about. You don't really tend to actually do it in game. Okay, so my third nade tip is going to be not to throw nades when shooting is an option. Now, a lot of newer players, I feel like, had the tendency to throw a nade after they've already seen someone. You don't really want to be caught throwing a nade when you're out in the open and the other person can shoot you. For example, I wouldn't want to run out here and, you know, he's looking at me and throw a nade here, because if that wasn't a potato bot, he would have absolutely annihilated me. If you've seen my BR tip video, I talk about how jumping's kind of like, sort of like a nervous tick for me at times. And I feel like throwing grenades for some players is kind of the same thing. I don't personally feel like it's one of my nervous ticks or whatever you'd call it. I definitely do it at times when I shouldn't be throwing nades. I toss one, but for the most part, I think I'm pretty good about not just running out in the open and throwing a grenade. Because if you ever get into lobbies with just lower skilled players, they'll kind of just run at you, you know, might throw a nade. And maybe that'll work against these bots, but good players are just going to four you while you're just out there basically defenseless because you can't shoot your gun while you're throwing a grenade. The point is that you want to throw the nade before you see the player. Any good player is just going to shoot you really quick and then avoid your grenade. So you're going to do pretty much 0 damage. So if you're going to throw a nade, make sure that you're doing it kind of as a pre-nade. Someone's coming around a corner or you're coming around a corner. You kind of want to throw the nade before you peek it. You know, maybe like that. So that if he's this far across, you'll hit him. If not, you know, you're in a nice, even, fair gunfight. Both starting at full shields. Instead of running out, throwing a nade, and, you know, maybe not even getting a shot off, maybe only getting one shot off before you get killed. I feel like that's something people learn pretty quickly, that you can't just jump out like this, throw a nade at someone, and hope for the best, you know. However, there are some very, very few scenarios where you might want to throw a grenade first. And that's pretty much only if you're making a sneaky play. Maybe you're sneaking up behind 2 players, and if you were to shoot your gun, they're going to just turn around and melt you really quick, and you're not going to get either of them. So maybe you're sneaking up on them, and you might want to try and bounce a nade really quick before you start shooting. But that's if they're not looking at you. If they're not looking at you, it might be better for you to bounce a nade at their feet, get that first kill really quick so you can start dealing with the second player. Or maybe if they're in close proximity to each other, you can hit both of them with the same nade and slurp up a really free, easy, quick double kill. But that's mostly if the players aren't looking at you. If someone knows you're coming, if they're looking in your direction, you do not want to be turning that corner and just throwing your nade. Okay, so tip number 4 is going to be go out of your way to get the shock nades, which I call them the shock nades. They're actually dynamo grenades, and the spike nades, because they are literally power weapons on this map. On any map, really. These are so good. So this shock nade is so useful. It does so much damage. It'll continuously tick multiple players. And most importantly, you get a sound cue. Listen for it. You hear that little tick? You get ticking sounds when it's actually connecting with someone. So I don't know if you've noticed, but in competitive game modes, you don't get grenade hit markers. You do get them in social, Team Slayer, Quick Play, and all those game types. But in ranked arena, you don't get grenade hit markers. So these shock nades are basically grenade hit markers. Quick note, you do actually get sound cues when you hit someone with a frag. The Spartan will grunt and be like, ugh, you know. So you can, if you're close enough, throw a nade and hear that someone is within the vicinity of your grenade. I'm not sure if they make different sounds depending on how hard you actually hurt them with the nade. I haven't personally noticed that in my gameplay, but you definitely get sound cues that you've hit them with the frag grenades. So listen for that. Obviously, it doesn't help you if you're far away, but if someone's in the room next to you and you throw the nade, you will hear that you've hurt them with the grenade. But yeah, make sure you're controlling the shock nades, and the spike grenades work a lot differently in this game than they have in previous Halos as well. Previously, you know, they were introduced in Halo 3, and basically they were an alternative to the sticky nade, but they were really hard to do damage if you didn't actually stick them. If it like hit the wall or something, the spikes would shoot out. It was very like rare that you would do any decent amount of damage from the actual grenade explosion if you didn't stick them and get the insta kill. But in this game, the brute nades actually do a lot of damage. You can see the spikes flying off of those things, and they do a decent amount of damage. I guess it's kind of hit or miss if they hit, since they kind of like scatter off randomly. It's not like a plasma grenade explosion, but it does a lot more damage, in my opinion, than it used to back in Halo 3, or I don't think they were in Halo 5. And my final tip of the day is going to be that you can use the grenades offensively, but also defensively. What I mean by that, right? If someone has shots in you, right, you're weak, you're trying to get away from them, maybe you hide out in the base, and you know they're pushing you, like, there's nothing wrong with running away. Sorry, I don't have any frag grenades. If someone's chasing you, and you're running away, you're hurt, you don't really have any chance to win this fight, you can kind of just throw one off the wall and run. And that might deter them from chasing you if they're smart, or maybe if they're dumb, they'll run directly on your nade and you can turn around and one-shot them. That's sure to induce some rage into people. But if someone's chasing you down, you're trying to get away, I like to really just use them as a defensive tool, basically. Kind of just making them a wall, a barrier that someone doesn't really want to cross over to, because why would you run directly on a nade, right? No good player is going to just directly run on top of a nade to try and chase down one single kill. And if they are, you know, that's an easy way to outplay them. Throw a nade off the wall. It's kind of like a defensive barrier for people trying to chase you down. And also, you can kind of use it as a barrier in other senses. Say, if you're fighting someone in a hallway, it's going to be really hard to... This is very situational, but say you're fighting someone and they back away down a hallway, you can kind of throw the nade behind them so that if they continue backing down, they're going to die, right? You've already put 2 shots in them maybe, so if they back out onto your grenade, they're going to die. So they are forced to push you, and you know, obviously have the easy cleanup kill, whether or not your grenade, you know, does any damage to them. But obviously that's very situational, only if you are already in an advantageous position. Maybe you got the first 2 shots, maybe you're just 1 shot on him and he knows he's going to lose, so he's backing down. Throw that grenade behind him, kind of create a wall behind him so he doesn't want to continue that way, and make him come back out and push forward to you so that he doesn't scare you away like the little rat he is. And no, don't do that, obviously, if he's not backing out behind a wall. If you're in a gunfight and he doesn't back down at all, obviously, like my first tip, you don't want to be throwing a grenade mid-gunfight, because that's a surefire way to get yourself killed. Alright guys, I think that covers all the grenade tips I have for you today. Maybe there's some other things that I could throw in there, but off the top of my head, I think those are 5 solid tips to help you improve with your grenade gameplay and just being more efficient with your grenades. Let me know if you have any questions or if I missed anything down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video or if you found it helpful, please leave a like. That'll help push the video out to more people, help more players get better at Halo. And subscribe for some more Halo content. I upload every single day here at Rehabs for Quitters, so hit that notification bell so you don't miss tomorrow's upload. I also stream every single day over at twitch.tv/rehabsforquitters if you want to come hang out in real time. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later.